Hello, my name is Urmi and I want to welcome you all to my channel where I talk about finance, career, I give tips and advice for self-investing, and I also talk a little bit about my life in Canada. Today, I would like to give few tips on how to tackle the CFA Level 2 exam. I shared another video where I basically talked a little bit about the CFA curriculum readings, and I said a little bit about the order, in which order you should be doing all these readings. And today I'll be just sharing a little bit of tips on how to tackle the CFA and how to study for this exam. And I'm gonna start by saying that the CFA Level 2 is hard. It's a very difficult exam, and it's hard. Compared to level 1, it's something else of a different level. If you are signed up to give the exam, some things that you will notice when you study for the level 2 is that each topic is very much detailed. You're really digging deep with each concept, because the whole level 2 curriculum is based on valuations. So you are trying to value a company, and you're trying to understand what comes behind that number, that value that you give, and you try to understand why certain things are the way they are. So it's very detailed and it's very thorough. So when I took level 2, which was basically last year, and I passed it on the first shot, some of the things that I did is I started to study for level 2 right after I got my result for level 1, because I read in many forums and I heard from other people that you have to take a different strategy when you do level 2, and because there are so many things to remember, it's recommended that you start as soon as possible. So I started studying for level 2 like right after I got my level 1 results. And one thing that I want to share about level 2 is that when you study for level 2, make sure to study everything inside out. Like maybe for level 1, you gave it 3 months, you maybe skipped some topics and you were able to pass it. Level 2, if you don't want to risk failing the exam, make sure to do everything inside out. And some of the materials that I used were basically the CFA curriculums, and the ecosystem that you have on the whole CFA Institute website, which I felt they were pretty challenging, and they could be a little bit demotivating because of how hard the problems are, but they help you a lot to prepare yourself. So I didn't use any providers because honestly I did not have time to look at the third-party providers. I felt that the CFA books were big enough already. And I did basically all the end of the chapters. I did all the blue boxes. I did all the mocks. I did the problems in the CFA Institute, like on the website, and I also did them more than once so that I would remember, so that I would understand the concept. And one thing that you wanna pay attention about the CFA Level 2 is that you have to be really detail oriented. I think that would be my key takeaway message for you, is to be detail oriented, because in level 1 maybe the problem would ask you like, okay, calculate this, but in level 2 you have vignettes, you have scenario based problems. So basically you have a case, you have to read the case, and then you will have like some follow-up questions, which could be 1 to 4 questions or 1 to 6 questions, and they're all related to the case that you have read. So when you are tackling those vignette problems, make sure to have the habit to highlight important key information. And I think that's very important. And also to highlight the question, because when you do the practice problem, you will notice that the question could say like, what's most likely correct, or what's least likely correct. So you want to pay attention to those little details, and you also want to pay attention to the order in which they give the answers. Because when for instance, when I was doing some of the practice problem, I knew the answer, but because I was not paying attention to the order the answers were given, I would make a mistake. And that's very important that you are detail-oriented when you are answering your question and when you're reading the vignette problems, which are very, very important. And a little bit like level 1, I think another way to succeed for level 2 is really to practice. And I know that everyone emphasizes this, but that's really the key, is that you have to really practice as much as you can for this level 2, because it's just something else. And it's important that you keep practicing, and it's important that you keep revising. And I will emphasize that the revision part is probably the most important part, because I did this mistake of not revising properly, and maybe, let's say, a month after, I would try to do a problem and I would not remember anything. So constant revision is important, constant practice is very important, and it's also very important to be really detail-oriented. Another thing that I also want to mention, which is the recommended hours that the CFA Institute suggests. I think it's 300 hours, 350 hours, I don't remember. But I never pay attention to that. Like, even when I did level 1, I never paid attention to that number, because I think everyone has a different way of studying. Some people could take more hours to study a concept, where some other people could take less hours. And I also think it's really not about the quantity, it's more about the quality of your study. So I know that I did put much more than those recommended numbers of study, but that's because of who I am. I just like to, dig deeper, especially for level 2. Like, I don't think those 300 hours or 350 hours are really enough. I think you should really put a bit more hours, because you have a lot of readings to do and you have a lot of concepts that you have to remember. So my suggestion would be, try to study smart, but also try to study like a lot at the same time, but just to make sure that you dedicate those extra hours more to practice and more to understand the concept. So that's really that would be really the key to really pass the exam, and just make sure to practice the mock. Those mock exams are like a killer, but they help you a lot to practice the end of the chapter, the blue boxes, and the ecosystem problems. So those are really my tips, and hopefully they will help you. And if you have any question, leave a comment below, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.